Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, August 15th meeting of your Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club, serving this community for 84 years. Would you stand with me? Our invocation today will be led by the Reverend Bill Lavar. Patty Caperton is going to do our pledge, and Neil and Sandra will lead us in singing the national anthem. Bill? Linda?
I don't know if all of you know yet, but we received word this morning that Bill Hooten passed away today after a very unexpected and short illness. He got really sick really quickly and passed away. And Linda worked with him for years with State Farm, so I'll let you say what you want to say about Bill.
Oh, thank you. Well, of course, I have a lot of fond memories with Bill. Bill was with State Farm when I started 33 years ago. That kind of ages me, doesn't it? I was just a baby, but no. So we had many wonderful trips together. State Farm honors their leading agents with a wonderful vacation with family, and we've gone all over the world together. And he was always positive, inspiring, and trying to make sure everyone laughed, had a great time, and a smile on his face. So it was very sad and shocking to everyone yesterday when the son reached out to inform us that unfortunately an infection that he developed 2 weeks ago took his life. So, life is precious and enjoy every day. And I will always remember Bill.
And the canine companions will miss him hugely. So would you join me in a spirit of prayer? Eternal God, we come before you today with prayers of thanksgiving for the blessing of this day, for our club and its work, and for the food which is before us. But we also come with heavy hearts because a member of this community who is well known and well loved, Bill Hooten, has been taken from us. We know that he is now with you, and we have assurance in your promise for him. He was a great friend, and we shall miss him. And we lift him to you for your care and safekeeping in the power of our prayer. We ask your spirit to be upon this club, upon our work, upon this food, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies and to keep us this day in your peace. In the name of the Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Bill. And Patty, lead us in the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keep your hands on your heart.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's what's the ground between them and the twilight's last through? These bright lights and bright stars in the perilous night. Oh, the ground on tree was surrounded each friend, and the rockets red, the tears sitting in there. We were forgotten and our flag was still restored. Oh, say does not a star shine on yet red. For the land of the free and all of God. Good job.
Play ball. Yes. Well, we're glad you're here with us today. I'm going to take a moment and introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests. So, Patty Landers, you have a guest today. Is there Patty Caperton? You have a guest? Let me bring you the mic so that everybody can hear your introduction. Plus, I can pick up this list. Thank you.
My guest is Elaine Free Robertson. Elaine used to be a member of our club,
And she is now an active member of the Grapevine Rotary Club and is making up today. So let's welcome them.
Lazaro has a couple of guests.
Yes, Mr. President, we have Herzo Hernandez here. He is very busy in the community with Agape Connection, feeding a lot of families here in Irving, and also he's here with his wife, Erica Hernandez, as well. Welcome.
He was at the Sunrise Club this morning, so we got to treat him really well. So, there you go. Well, let me come over here. Jasmine, would you stand up for me? All right, this is Jasmine, the last name is pronounced Rowan. Jasmine found out about us through our social media, emailed and said she's from Australia, has relocated to Irving and wants to join a Rotary Club. And so she's here to visit our club today. I want her to take a moment and tell you a little bit about herself and introduce her family.
Thank you. My name is Jasmine. This is my little family, Bella and VJ. We are from Australia. My background is I come from Middle East. I grew up in Australia. I completed my qualifications in South Australia. I have Bachelor of Government and Public Management, Master of Laws, International Relations. I like to serve the community. I have 2 awards from Minister of South Australia for being a volunteer and charitable person for different organizations. Yeah, and I would like to transfer my membership to Las Colinas Country Club, Rotary Country Club, and I would like to involve in projects and serve the community altogether. Thank you very much.
Jasmine, here's the meeting packet. And are you currently still a member there in Australia? So really you can just transfer your membership. If you'll fill out some of this, then we'll make that happen. But we're so glad you're here and you will make a good Rotarian. Right? Thank you very much. I can just about do that. We have one other visiting guest today, so I'm going to ask our own Superintendent Magda Hernandez to introduce her guest and then give us a quick update on the school.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's so good to see everyone. And Jasmine, how old is Bella? Will she be going to Irving schools? I'm the superintendent, so I'll go and talk to you. Recruiting our students. I do have a very special guest with me today. That's said hi. She is our board member. With our board member, she's been a sitting board member for 3 years, and she's also running for re-election. So she's heard a lot about Rotary, because I'm always talking about Rotary. So she goes, I want to go one day. I'm like, so sure, let's go. So she's here, and it's a pleasure to have her. Okay, thank you, Ms. Hyde. So just a quick update. Some of you may have seen us in the news last night and already being asked. Just want to update you that everyone is safe. We did have to go in lockdown yesterday, and as we go in lockdown, we have to turn our campus over to the police. So they were there for a long time. So we were trying to communicate as fast as possible with our parents. Our students did have to endure a long lockdown, but just want to let you know that they're doing well, and we will be debriefing with our chief of police just to see how we can, watch out for these type of incidents. But our kids are safe and nothing happened. So just wanted to let you know. Also, I want you to save the date. May 13th will be our first annual State of the District address, where we will be talking about our early childhood education, pre-K3, pre-K education that we started this year, full day pre-K for 4th grade and half day for pre-K for 3-year-olds, and also our early college education that we have going, and it's growing. So save the date, May 13th. And I'm proud to announce that first week of open enrollment for our pre-Ks, we already have over 900 pre-K4 students enrolled. So yay, that's awesome. that they're ready to start school, and pre-K 3. Never been to school, so we have, in 1 week, we have a little bit over 110 students already enrolled for pre-K 3. So lots of promising ways, and days coming our way. So, just want to encourage you to visit our website. If you follow us on social media, many of you do, just continue to see the amazing things that our students are doing every day. They're still going and competing at the national level. So can't be proud enough of them. So May 13th at 9 a.m. live stream. Yes, live stream. It'll be live. So we will be in person with a few guests in the audience, but you all are welcome to it. It is free. It is a free event. Yes, the link will be on the website. So May 13th, will you hear more about us? So it's great to be here, and I'll be here after if you have any questions. Thank you.
Magna, thank you. And I've told Magna before, I always am grateful that when she doesn't attend, she sends somebody. So, well, let's give all of our visiting Rotarians and guests a warm welcome. One other quick announcement, Kathy Howard has a date she wants you to be aware of tomorrow, so. Yes, so your calendar.
Yes, many of you know Bobby Stewart and Charles Cotton. They are developers here in Irving, and they've done some outstanding work. And they are presenting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in their office a proposed development that's going to be on the last partial of the lake front of Lake Caroline. It's 5 acres close to the post office at that end of the lake. And it's the last partial of land that will face the water. It's a lovely facility that they're planning, but they're up against some tough city council, and they need our approval of this facility. So if you're interested in coming at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in their office right off of O'Connor near the clock, let me know and I'll get you tagged in. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, we've got a lot of things to get on our calendar today. So if you missed some of those, catch Kathy or Magna at the end of the meeting today. Just making sure I didn't leave anything out. Jordan, are we wired for Shane to? We've got a special speaker today that's well known in the community, and Pastor Shane Webb is going to make that announcement. But while Jordan's getting him hooked up, our most updated flags is we have 997 paid flags. This is as of last week, actually, because they took the system down, and I don't have an update for this week. We have 1,072 pending, and we brought in $45,099. So our flag program is going well, but we're probably 200 or 300 flags behind where we normally would be this time of year. So we're going to kind of push that between now and Memorial Day. We have another work day coming up. So not this Saturday, the following Saturday. So anybody who remembers what that date is, I think that's the 23rd. 24th, thank you. So the 24th, we'll be having a work day at the YMCA. Well, is Shane hooked up? Our speaker today will be introduced by Reverend Shane Webb. Shane is in quarantine, but he's got this nice background behind him there. And so, Shane, are we ready?
There we go. I'm coming to you live from quarantine, and it's only fitting All right, am I still on? Can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Sorry about that. I had a call come in and instead of leaving the call, I left y'all. But I want to introduce Bob Harris. He is co-founder of Level Pathways and one of my newest friends. He has extensive work and volunteer experience in social awareness organizations and a lot of experience working with young people. He has spent 30 years in various roles working with nonprofit organizations, primarily geared towards supporting youth, including serving as president of the Irving Schools Foundation Board. So we're thankful for that. He's also active at his church and is an elder there at Riverside Church of Christ. And he's done a lot of good ministry there with his church. Bob has been married for 42 years to his wife, and they have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. And they've been in Irving that whole time. So without further ado, I want to give him plenty of time to speak, but I excitedly present to you my friend Bob Harris.
All right, Bob. Welcome.
Well, good morning. I was sorry to hear about Bill Hooten also. Linda, Bill was active in Troop 508 at Woodhaven Presbyterian Church, where Pastor Webb now serves. And so I got to know Bill through that, and a lot of other great scouters. So very, very good memories. Wow, it's great to see so many friends here today. That should take away a little of the nervousness. I appreciate the work that Ersan is doing with the food giveaways, and we have been connected there. And also appreciate the great school system that we have. Mrs. Hernandez, I've been able to see it a little bit from the inside out, and have worked with a lot of counselors and Project Pass, and just know how dedicated those folks are. Level Pathways started 3.5 years ago to serve the needs of homeless students in Irving, Texas. Now, some of you are saying, like I did a few years ago, we have homeless students in Irving. I never see them. I never encounter them. I never see them pushing a shopping cart down the street. But yes, we have homeless children, some of them unaccompanied by parents here in Irving, Texas. It's always hard to quote numbers because it depends on what perspective you're coming from. Some numbers would tell you that there could be in excess of 1,000 homeless children here in Irving, either living with parents or without parents. Level Pathways started to serve what we call unaccompanied students. That is students who are without parents for one reason or another. Gino came home from school one day and found a boyfriend beating up on his mother. And he got in the middle of that fight. The police were called, and after it was all settled down, Gino's mother said, "Gino, you're 18 years old. My new boyfriend pays the rent. You need to find another place to live." Now, that sounds pretty drastic. A mother kicking her own son out of the house, but it happens. It happens often. It just so happened that Gino was walking down the street, and he said, "The first thing I gotta do is get a job." So he saw a crude poster on our window of a business that my wife and I had at the time that said sewing machine operator wanted. And he walked in and said, I can do that. And I said, well, Gino, have you ever operated a sewing machine before? He said, no, but I can learn. And we hired him, even though he didn't have experience running a sewing machine. I can tell you that Gino was not a sewing machine operator and had a problem learning how to operate a sewing machine, but we used him for other things. In the midst of hiring him and having him work for us, we found out the story with his mother and her new boyfriend. Gino has since went to the University of Dallas on a full ride scholarship. He went to Rome under the University of Dallas program, and he is now a teacher in the Irving ISD. So it is possible to take a kid off the streets, make them productive to benefit the Irving community. That's kind of what we do. Think of it similar to an exchange student, in that we bring a student in, we find them a home where they can stay until they graduate, and then hopefully go on to other things. We do not have a shelter. We do not have a group home. We have what we call host homes, and those are homes and people's homes here in the community. Maybe some of you would like to think about hosting a student until they graduate from high school. So we get a call one day, again, from a very respected, very talented attendance manager in the Irving ISD, and he says, Bob, we have a young lady who has been kicked out of her home. She doesn't have any place to go. Could I bring her to y'all's office and discuss options? So he brings Alejandra to our office. And in the course of our case manager talking to Alejandra, she quizzes her on, don't you have some place you could stay? Maybe it's an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a mother or a father. Don't you have some place to stay that hasn't kicked you out? And she said, no. And I said, now, Alejandra, think hard. Isn't there somewhere that you could stay tonight for a few nights until we found you a place? She said, Bob, I have no one that wants me. No one that wants me. Those are the type of statements we hear from Irving students, and they're difficult. We then put Alejandra up in a hotel for a few nights until we could find a family in Las Colinas who happened to have a spare bedroom. They're empty nesters. And they said, yeah, we'll take Alejandra. And in fact, Bill, they attend Plymouth Park Methodist, and said, we'll take her until she graduates from school. Well, these students are difficult, okay? I say they're like, think of it like an exchange student, but these are not always the kids making straight A's and got to come to America to live with a family. Alejandra had a lot of problems. After losing 2 or 3 jobs, we found out she never really has had anybody teach her how to work. She doesn't know how to spend her money when she makes the money, and has a problem with respect. Okay, so this host family had to teach her how to budget her money, how to stay employed, like things like showing up every day, and how to show respect in a kind and loving way to people who had helped you. Alejandra then graduated from Singley Academy. In lieu of her inviting parents, she invited the Level Pathway staff and the attendance manager who watched out for her. She now works at the airport and has held that job for about 8 months. Alejandra is a is a good example of a good community kid to have here amongst us. We're not sure exactly what her path would have been afterwards. We take in kids who are homeless because of parents who no longer care to take care of them because of alcoholism, drug abuse, or just disinterest. These kids are abandoned, forced to leave their home, and choose to do so because of circumstances they are in, just because it's just too violent to stay there. These kids are susceptible to the same things their parents suffer from: drug use, alcoholism, and now human trafficking, which, as you know, has severe consequences. Since January of this year, we have talked to students who are involved in trafficking, experienced parents who are drug addicts, and have dumped their kids on Irving to take care of. The mission of Level Pathways is to protect, provide, and position homeless teens for their future. We are approved in several of our programs by the Irving Independent School District. We're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and we're proud of those accomplishments. We did win if you're familiar with the Chamber's Share Tank Award, we have won that 2 out of the 4 years that has been offered. I could tell you a lot of stories. And Robert, you may have to help me. My phone went dead on the timer. I could tell you a lot of stories about students that will break your heart. We have to keep somewhat of a humorous attitude in the office, or we start crying. There are tough situations with kids in Irving, Texas, who are homeless in an unstable shelter. When we say unstable shelter, we're talking about children who may live doubled up with a friend, maybe what we call couch surfing. They're staying on the friend's couch until mom or dad said, "Hey, you said it was going to be a week. It's now been 2 weeks. You need to go." So they ask another friend, "Hey, can I stay on your couch for a week?" And then a couple of weeks later, those parents say, "Okay, it's been 2 weeks. It's time to go." And they will cycle back around to that first student and say, "Hey, it's been a couple of months since I stayed with you. Can I sleep on your couch for a week?" And of course the student says, "Well, yeah, my dad said, okay, but 1 week this time." We call that couch surfing. Students stay in cars with their parents. They stay in abandoned buildings. They stay in low rent hotels. We have another word for that in the office, but hotels that rent on a day-by-day basis. And in all of those circumstances, they're susceptible to being abused, to being neglected. At any moment, a student living in their car can have the Irving police, rightfully so, say, it's time to move on. And all of a sudden now they are homeless. At any point, the rent at the hotel is no longer paid, and so they become homeless. They're one step away from being homeless. When the pandemic started, we started serving students as a response to the pandemic who also are within a homeless family. Before, it had primarily just been young men and women who were unaccompanied by parents, and now we serve homeless students and their families where we find the need. We've left some brochures at your table and our last newsletter. We do have a seminar going on right now on Monday nights. It'll be this coming Monday night and a week from Monday night in cooperation with the ICANN organization. And so we would encourage each of you who have a further interest to tune into that Zoom seminar and hear discussions about homeless in Dallas and in Irving. I will tell you that our circumstances are different here in Irving slightly than what they are in Dallas. you're dealing with a much larger population. In Irving, almost all of our circumstances with students are different. In other words, they vary from time to time on the particulars of a student. But that seminar is this coming Monday, and a week from Monday, I believe it's 26th. And you can just register and join us on a Zoom meeting. And we have some folks with City Square in Dallas also on that seminar. So how can you help? Some of you are saying, let me take in all those kids that you've got. I'll take them all. We don't need you to take them all, but it would be great if you could take one. We provide training. We vet our host homes. We provide ongoing support through case managers. We provide things like food and tutoring, anything that the student might need. If you think that you could put a student in that spare bedroom that you have, we very much like to talk to you. If the club would like to sponsor a student for 1 year, it's $2,700, and that's the average cost that it costs us to sponsor a student for 1 year or until they graduate. So thank you. I'm open to any questions, and I already see Rasan raising his hand. If I heard your question correctly, is $2,700 the cost to support a student for until they graduate? For a year. We take in a lot of students who are 18 and consequently seniors in high school, so they may graduate, in May. That's an average cost. So, on the other hand, some of our students are juniors and they may not graduate, for the next year and a half. But our average cost, Rasan, is $2,700 per student.
So should we be okay to do like a monthly pledge? $225 a month. We could use that one time.
Yeah, the question was, could you divide up that $2,700 into monthly payments? Absolutely, yeah. We would very much welcome that, and have several individuals who do that. Age. Our program mission is students 14 to 24 years old, simply because the Irving ISD can take an older student, and then the 14 years old is kind of a sophomore in high school, but our average age of a student is 18 years old.
You explained how you were helping with individual students. How are you helping families?
Yeah, question was, how are we helping a family as opposed to an individual student? And that's a great question. A family that's homeless or near homeless, because a lot of times that family includes students who are under 18 years old. We are only licensed to house 18 years and up, but because that family most often has students who are 17 and younger, we help that family with, we help the family as opposed to the student. So we're helping subsidize their rent. We're helping provide food, pointing them to medical resources, all the wraparound case management resources that are out there. But probably the biggest way is we help subsidize their rent, preferably in an apartment as opposed to a motel.
The state and school requirements.
We have two goals. Be in safe housing until you graduate from high school. So graduate from high school and be in safe housing. If a student drops out or has not entered school, we have several students who have not gotten back into school. Our case managers are constantly encouraging that student and the family to get back into school. I'm not going to say that's successful every time, but we push for that. We push that student contact an attendance manager where they last went to school and see what it takes to get back on track in school. If they drop out, no, they're not out of the program, but we're encouraging them to meet that goal to graduate from school. We actually had a student, it was kind of a quirky deal. We had a student who didn't pass all their year-end tests 2 years ago, and so they dropped out, right? They didn't pass the test, they dropped out. Irving has some great, what they call attendance managers. And I wish I had time to tell you about a few of them, but one of those attendance managers remembered that student did not pass the year-end test and hadn't graduated. So they took it upon themselves to contact that student and say, hey, during the pandemic, there are no year-end tests. You can come and take some final coursework and you can still graduate. And so they did. They took that path and did not have to pass the, whatever we call the year-end test, but graduated from high school.
One more, Patty.
Well, I see that Sharon Johnston is on the board now. Does Main Place still exist? Sharon's Main Place?
Oh, yeah.
Or did this take the place of all together? How does that?
For sure. There were three of us that started Level Pathways. Sharon Johnston, the founder of the Main Place, which has moved. They're over off of Fifth Street. Yeah. And they're going great guns. They got a big new facility. I think that she told me they, through their Super Saturday event, had served like 10,000 people. Yeah, since the start of school. Our other founder, you may know, is Dr. Lori Davis, who was an Irving principal and is now a real estate investor. And the three of us started Level Pathways. Thank you, Patty.
Bob, can you stay around a moment for some more questions?
Absolutely.
All right, let's give Bob a warm welcome. Thank you very much. Well, what a great program. And I would encourage any of us that have spare bedrooms that, what's the average amount of time that maybe a family would host a student? About 8 months. So it's not like you're going to become a foster parent for the next 10 years, but a lot of times 8 months can turn a student's life around. And I'll just share this one little tidbit. I was 15 years old when my father kicked me out of the house, and I couch surfed for 7 months trying to stay in school. I did. And then when I would go to college, got married, and 26 years ago, Elaine Free invited me to join Rotary. So thank you, Elaine, and thank you to all those families that let me sleep on their couch for those 8 months during high school. So changes people's lives. Appreciate that. Rick Lindsay has a quick announcement. He wants to update us on our program next week and also talk a little bit about district assembly from this past Saturday. So, sir, you got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, it is my pleasure to talk about the first event for our district governor-elect, Max DePlunt. Compliments to John Van Buren and Max. If you did not have an opportunity, you missed some good information. Max started on time. She finished on time. She kept the meeting moving real fast. We did talk about human trafficking. We did talk about several topics, talked about what's the acronym, John, DRI, talking about equality and everything. We spent a whole good session on that. The nuggets that I brought out was the meetings, the sessions that normally Don Jensen attends. Don and Rosalie are rebuilding their house over there, and so he couldn't make it. But I attended those, which is a requirement to be able to apply for the grants. So as you know, we gave Irving Schools Foundation $7,000, $3,500 came from this club and $3,500 matching grant from the district. So to do that, you have to attend the sessions to qualify to write for the grants. So we're qualified, Mr. President. We're ready to go next year. It was a great conference. Okay, what does that got to do? John, what is the date on the Rotary International Convention? Is 12 through 16 June. If you've never attended a Rotary convention worldwide, I would encourage you to go out and look at the agendas. I received an email. Did anybody else get an email from Rotary International or Pan Blankenship or anybody? Anybody getting those emails? Just kind of show me. Okay, well, it's not everybody. So John, let's figure out a way, Mr. President, how we can get Mara to share that. You'll want to attend some part. There is a cost associated with it. I think it's $49. So you and I haven't talked. If you want to share, co-op, pay some for people that can't maybe afford that. But I would encourage you to attend that convention. Just kind of put it on your calendar. John, am I right on the date? June 12 through 16. I think it's going to be in Houston, but I'm talking virtual.
To add to what Rick is saying, every presentation that was made at District Assembly last Saturday is on the district website under training center, including the district strategic plan, which I would encourage everyone to look at your board. There's no football on TV right now, so we've got nothing else to do on Sunday afternoon except Rotary.
And I'll just tell you this, I'm going to ask Mara to include the link to that in the follow-up for this week's meeting. So you'll get an email. You should be getting something from Mara every week, and it'll have the link that'll take you right to the district website. So if you want to watch any of those trainings, you can.
Great. Well, thank you. Thanks, John. For everybody maybe that didn't hear what John had to say, on the district website, all the information that we covered last Saturday will be on there. We're going to put, as the president said, we'll put the link. Well, I want to wrap up and say, be here if you can next Thursday. We've got Chief Conley from the Irving Fire Department who's going to be here. He's bringing two of the first responders that we're going to acknowledge with our special award plaque, and Mr. President's going to do that with me. Guess which two people won? But don't share this. It's the person who went out on the ladder and brought in the two ice skaters. You remember during the Siberian front that we had on somewhere in Irving? We had a lady that went ice walking. She fell in. Husband went out to get her. Okay, so that person is going to come and be a recipient. Also, one of the first responders that talked to a person on the phone and helped resuscitate, I think, a child. So, you know, we recognize our first responders twice or every quarter. This time we got two. Please be here and help me welcome and thank those guys and Chief Conley for what they do. So if you can't make it, Zoom in. Chief, it's going to be, or excuse me, President, it's going to be a great meeting.
It will be a great meeting. Thanks to past President Lindsay for helping us set up those where we can honor and recognize our police and our fire and first responders. Well, as you know, there's about 6 weeks left in my term as president of this club. And then Linda Despain, are you clapping because I'm going to be gone in 6 weeks? All right. Linda Despain come up. Linda's going to be our incoming president, and I am going to let her close the meeting probably every week between now and her term, so that when she stands up here at the end of June and 1st of July, you'll already be accustomed to that. So, Linda, you have a few things on the agenda, and you can call upon Laura to do the polling.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Our next week program is, as Rick has just mentioned, with the Fire Chief, Vic Connolly. So we hope everyone's here. Rick did introduce our speaker for next week. And our next joint bi-monthly board meeting will be Thursday, June 3rd at 10:30 a.m. And let's see, our next past president's meeting will be Thursday, September the 2nd at 10:45 a.m. And I'm sure everyone knows where you fit in either one of those meetings. And then our new next member orientation will be Thursday, April the 29th at 11:45 a.m. And now we're ready for the four-way test with beautiful Laura Manning. Thank you.
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Again, thank you to everyone attending today, and the meeting will adjourn.